You are listening to the Sound in Faith podcast, coming to you from Faith Baptist Fellowship in beautiful Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm Pastor Thomas Lawson.
And I'm Pastor Mike Johnson.
And our aim is to encourage the saints of Faith Baptist Fellowship to believe sound doctrine and to live lives that adorn the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen. And it's beautiful in Sioux Falls. A little smoky today from our friends to the north. But
friends, those Canadians.
They figured out new ways to heat things, so they're just lighting their forests on fire.
Oh, well,
poor guys.
Yeah, we lived in Oregon for 7 years. We experienced that a lot.
Yeah.
We would get Canadian smoke fires from British Columbia coming down all the time. Yeah, they can just get their act together up there in Canada.
But they drive e-cars.
They do drive e-cars. They use metric, which I won't comment on, but I'm actually a fan of. Anyway, all that to say, hey, Pastor Mike, you're a Gen Xer, right?
Yes.
Would you be considered Gen X?
1974, I was born, so I think I'm towards the end of the Gen X.
Yeah.
But not quite. I think 80 is like the
80
switch, 81.
182 is technically the number. I'm
82?
81 or 82. I can't remember which I've seen. I know
that's when it goes Gen X to millennial.
Yeah, millennial. Right. And there's kind of a little bit of a gap there between like 77 and 82 where they kind of give them this name Xennials or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
So I'm 77, and the reason I'm bringing this up is, did you grow up with Casey's Top 40?
Yes. Yes, I did.
The Top 40 countdown.
I did,
Casey's Top 40.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that ties in today with what we're going to talk about here. This is kind of a little bit of a fun, lighthearted episode, but we are going to talk about some very biblical things, and it's about Christians being discerning with the music that we listen to.
Right on.
And I think it can apply broadly as we talk about this subject to things like art and other things and beauty and stuff in the world that we're in, the shows that we watch, all of that. But specifically, we're going to be looking at, should Christians be discerning about music and the music that we listen to? And as we get into the program, we're not going to do a top 40 countdown. We're going to do a top 6.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, we'll count them down. I'll count them down in my best Casey Kasem voice, if you know who that is. And we're going to look at some popular songs that kind of span all the way from the 60s until today. And we're going to evaluate them with Christian eyes, through a Christian worldview lens. So I guess a question to start with is, why even talk about evaluating, quote unquote, secular songs?
Yeah, I think the answer is because we're pastors and we're always looking for ways to help people navigate the different matters of their life through a biblical lens and a biblical worldview. Yeah. And we just want to be helpful. And I think it's helpful to talk about something because parents are thinking about their kids, what their kids are listening to. I hope young people are thinking about what they're listening to. I mean, they're not unimportant questions, know, especially if you think about like the amount of people I see with AirPods in their ears. Like we're always listening to something, it seems like. I'm guessing it's not like sermons all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. And we're surrounded by it in the world that we live in. I mean, you walk into Chipotle or something like that. You walk into a store, and usually there's music playing in the background somewhere, and you're hearing lyrics and you're hearing things like that. So even if you're exposed to it passively, you've got to be discerning about those things.
Right.
And in one sense too, so many people are listening to this. Our neighbors are listening to this. And it's at least to some extent, we want to know what is discipling them. What is forming their thinking. And so there's different levels at which we can interact with things in pop culture. Sometimes from a just an evaluation standpoint, and even sometimes an enjoyment standpoint. Mm-hmm. So your thoughts on this? Can Christians, or should Christians, maybe we should say, ever listen to songs that aren't explicitly Christian?
And the short answer is yes. Christians can. I think there needs to be discernment, but
Right.
we can listen to things that aren't explicitly Christian and enjoy them. I think part of God's common grace is music, and certainly we can listen to some really, really nice music that wasn't written by a Christian and wasn't performed by a Christian and still great and still glean great and enjoyment from it.
Yeah.
And also, like, it points to God. Like, God's the one who's gifted those people. Like, you hear an awesome celloist, just really playing really well, and that's God at work. Even though that person might not be a Christian.
Yeah. I mean, that's spot on right there. There tends to be a lot of times two extremes, even among Christians, that say, in one sense, we should not listen to anything that is not explicitly Christian. We should not watch anything that is not explicitly Christian. And then on the opposite end is kind of a licentiousness of we can watch and do whatever we want. We're free in Christ. And I think the biblical approach is discerning, appreciation of God's common grace and his goodness in all things, but at the same time wanting to guard ourselves against those things that are vulgar and profane and evil, with no redeeming quality whatsoever.
Yeah, like in Philippians, it says, think on these things, whatever's true, whatever's honorable, whatever's just, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's commendable. If there's any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. We do have to guard our minds and our hearts so that we are thinking about good things. And so I think part of the way we do that is by guarding what we listen to.
Yeah.
Because we're not neutral. Like, we don't just like absorb it and it just goes out, I have a friend who was watching a particular show that used a particular foul word, and this brother doesn't ever swear. Like, he just doesn't. But he was listening to this show or watching this show on Netflix for a long time, and he stubbed his toe when we were around each other, and he dropped that word. And we had a good conversation about where it came from. Like, it was he was listening to it. He was hearing it, and all of a sudden it becomes not shocking, not repulsive, but kind of commonplace.
Yeah.
And
so discernment is the key.
Discernment's the key.
Listening, watching, looking at things discerningly. If we go to the one extreme and say we're never going to listen to or look at or watch anything that's not explicitly Christian, I mean, we have to throw Mary Had a Little Lamb out the door, or Twinkle, Twinkle, Little, or Mozart symphonies. Yeah.
To take Paul's word, we'd have to leave the world altogether.
Right.
So we are in the world. We're not of the world, and we got to be careful with that, but we're in the world,
Yes.
And
So being discerning and at the same time appreciating God's common grace and the gifts that he's given to people to create beautiful things. And I use that term "create" in a human sense, not in the God sense there.
Do you listen to secular music?
Well, so that's yes, according to how you just use that term secular. But a lot of the older theologians, they didn't so much say secular or sacred; they said sacred or profane.
Yeah.
And recognizing that there were those sacred things that were appropriate for worship and edification. There are those things that are appropriate for admiration of beauty and art, and like a Mozart symphony.
Yep.
I that was not written by a Christian. Mozart was not a Christian,
Right.
And he wrote that, and it's not explicitly something that is written to glorify God from his perspective, but it does glorify God.
It does glorify God.
And so, therefore, I can appreciate that. And
Right.
so the short answer is yes, but I strive to listen to all things discerningly
Right.
in everything that I do.
That's a good answer.
That's
a
what
really
we're going to
good
be
answer.
talking about today.
I like those categories better, too, the way that you frame
Yeah,
that.
sacred and profane is how we think of that. So we're going to look at 6 songs starting in the 1960s and working our way up till today. And I'll clarify this. We're not going to play the snippets of these songs. There would be copyright violations. But we're going to quote snippets of the lyrics, and we're going to evaluate these from a Christian worldview. And we're going to do this. We'll do this countdown style.
Sounds
so
awesome.
Casey's top 40. Let's jump right in here. I don't have any background music for this. I was going to try to see if what is that? That doesn't do anything.
That's the sound of silence.
Oh, that's crickets.
Oh,
That is the sound of silence. And that is actually the first song on our list, number 1, you know. The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
yeah.
Now, I'll start right off and say, I really like this song.
It's fun. It's, everyone knows it,
Yeah.
especially that first line, or
Hello, darkness,
my old friend. Yeah. And, it's memed like
Yeah.
crazy, So yeah, I like the song. I've listened to it a lot in my life.
Well, let's read. I'm just gonna read a couple lyrics here. We
All
don't
right.
have time to read through every single song in its entirety. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams, I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence.
Yeah.
Maybe let's stop right there.
Sure.
Okay. First of all, I would say, if you listen to the song musically, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Great melody, great harmonies. It's
Classic. Classic.
Such a classic song, and I think too points to a lot of the rich poetical language
Yeah.
that was present in a lot of the songwriting in the 50s, 60s,
Yeah,
70s.
Touches some old and new cobblestone streets, neon light, and those kind of things. Pretty good, pretty good. And I don't know exactly the meaning of the song. I've heard that it had to do with something to the effect of he's in a dark room when he wrote it. Apparently, he has said that in an interview somewhere. I think it has to do with the dearth of communication, how harmful that was.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've understood it to be. Because as you get later in the song, he has, fools, he's talking to the people. People are talking without speaking. People are hearing without listening. Fools said, you do not know silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence.
So he's feeling a biblical, an issue that actually is biblical. Isolating yourself is not wise, and the need for community and those kind of things. I mean, he's not coming at it, but he's feeling something that's real, and that's because God's made us that way, and he's made us for community, and he's feeling this lack of community, and so he's writing about it in a great way. So, good song.
Yeah, so Simon and Garfunkel, not Christians in any kind of vocal sense that I know of, but they are definitely expressing by God's common grace something that's real. And something that's relevant to today. He's talking about the neon lights and the distractions, the dearth of communication. You go anywhere in public and everybody's got their face in their phones.
Yeah.
And
this was written in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And so how much more now, right?
Yes.
How much more now with everybody, like you said, with their, you can be at a table with 5 people and everyone looking at their phones.
Yeah. So just short answer there. And can a Christian listen to and appreciate and enjoy this song?
Yes.
There we go. All right. Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. Moving on. Imagine by John Lennon.
Yeah. Very cynical song.
Oh, yeah.
That Lennon wrote. And also a product of the era, the 70s, with their utopian thoughts and where we will finally find world peace, and driving at that. I think it's got an anti-religious vibe.
Yeah. So let me read just a couple of lines here. It begins, imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he does that little thing right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And we could go on. He talks about, you may say that I'm a dreamer. I'm not the only one. Imagine no possessions, no greed, no need for greed or hunger.
Kind of a communist vibe there too.
I mean,
it's a utopian vibe. He's looking and he's hoping for. I mean, so there's there's a thing there that, I think is like we want peace.
Mm-hmm.
We want peace. We want peace. But I think he's looking wrongly at the things that disturb peace, and he's looking for solutions that are not going to be solutions in the end, But
as I looked into this song, it's actually called like the atheist anthem. I mean, it's used that way today with the idea that if we just got rid of religion and got rid of this idea of possessions, then there would be peace.
Right.
And it roots kind of the tumult that we see in our world in the fact that
the
people
20th century is full of this idea. It was a Marxist idea that, man, if we could just eliminate these things, all the points of contention would be gone, but it's not, and it won't be. And the Prince of Peace is the answer to our unrest, not these utopian dreams. And so, I think he strikes a chord that's real. Like, we want peace, and we see conflict. 70s was rife with, the Vietnam War. We had just wars everywhere. It was the riots in the U.S. I mean, it was just a crazy decade. Crazy bell bottoms. I mean, that's just a conflict in itself. But
they're coming back. No. I noticed, I mean, there's a contrast here between the first song and this second song here, in my opinion. And I'll say this, I think John Lennon had a beautiful voice. I think he was a creative musician. I mean, like, I listen to the song, I think it's interesting musically to me. But, The Sound of Silence, I can listen to that almost with a sense of appreciation because there's something by God's common grace that is true there that I can appreciate. Whereas when I listen to Imagine by John Lennon, I feel sad.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how sad that he, that's the way he thought. I listen to it more, and I don't really ever pull this song up and listen to it. It's just if I hear it.
Yeah.
You
almost only hear it like in commercials. That
right.
first line, imagine all the people, or that middle line there.
Yeah, the car commercial, someone's driving a Honda down the road, and for some reason this song fits. I don't understand. But you almost listen to it with a sense of wanting to just glean apologetically what the culture thinks.
And the human cynicism.
Yeah.
So he strikes at something that's real, our desire for peace, but he has no answers.
Yeah.
And that's, so can a Christian listen to it? I think a Christian can. I think you need to be discerning in the sense of, John Lennon was looking for answers in the wrong places.
Yes.
And you need to know that. He didn't find the answers in his supposed utopian anti-religious world.
Yeah. Sadly, he never did. Well, moving on, number 3. Here we go. Here's a fun. We're moving into the 80s now.
Oh, man. Now, see, this is the decade where I had a Walkman and I had Bon Jovi cassettes that I would listen to.
Let me pull it up here. Yeah. Living on a Prayer.
I saw Bon Jovi in concert.
Really?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
In Orlando.
Well, quite literally, because this is a list of 6 and we're on the 3rd song, we are halfway there.
Yeah. That's great.
All right, here we go. I'm going to quote just a few words from this. Tommy used to work on the docks. Union's been on strike. He's down on his luck. It's tough. So tough. I can hear the I so wish we could play the snippets of these
songs. Remember
songs.
where I was when I first heard it, I think. Yeah.
Gina works the diner all day, working for a man. She brings home her pay for love. She says, we got to hold on to what we've got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We've got each other, and that's a lot. We'll give it a shot. Whoa, halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear. Whoa, living on a prayer.
Yeah. You want me to start?
You go ahead. Okay. You've been to the concert. I haven't.
Yeah, so. The song is about a tough times for a couple and trying to make it through, trying to make it through some hard times, so he starts out with these occupational hard times and Gina, the wife, is encouraging the husband, saying, we'll make it. We got to hold on to what we have.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make this, it doesn't matter if we end up rich or not, but we got each other. We can go through this. There's actually some pretty good thoughts there about, staying together during hard times.
They love each other.
So yeah.
There's some definite redeeming qualities to the song. The whole idea of living on a prayer, obviously you want to be discerning about that because they're looking at prayer, I think, from that kind of general secular perspective of, we kind of believe in God.
I think it's that play on the phrase. He hasn't got a prayer, or he hasn't got a, it's almost like chance. The way that he's using it in this, in this song. I think, maybe not.
Yeah, and as Christians, of course, we affirm that prayer is a real beneficial thing in our lives. It's a gift from God by which we speak with Him, and I think it's being used more artistically there.
Yep.
What are some other things that you might? He goes on to talk about, Tommy's got his 6-string on hock. He had to sell his guitar, which I can resonate with. He pawned his guitar.
That was the pawn days. Yeah. Poor guy. Just there's the only thing that's not really here that would be super helpful for us is that Tommy and Gina can trust in God. They could find their hope in Him, and Bon Jovi wasn't a Christian, is not a Christian, and so he didn't know that. But man, we can resonate with some hard times. We can resonate with a young couple really going through the ringer. We've seen it. We've seen it. So there's a lot of resonance there with these things.
There are people who really have this kind of life. I mean, not literally word for word, but they're living, they're struggling. And they are seeking, by God's common grace, to stay together and work through these things like that. And I have to say, Carlos Santana was just a killer guitar player, and his guitar solo in this song is great. So you gotta love it.
There you go.
So what do you say? Can a Christian enjoy living on a prayer?
I think so.
All right, so we'll give that one an applause right there. All right, moving on.
Yeah, this is a song I haven't actually heard much of. I listened to it today because you had mentioned it in your thing, so I'll let you intro it, and the song better than I do.
Number 4, Bittersweet Symphony by the Verve, and this came out in the 90s. You can't play the songs, but it's the one that has that little violin riff. Do, 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 do. Everybody knows that if you've heard it at any point. So it's a very repetitious song, and it kind of goes on and on and on. The Verve was a little bit of a one-hit wonder in terms of their music. They did have quite a extensive list of songs that they put out, but they were really known for this one. So here it is. It's a bittersweet symphony, this life. Trying to make ends meet, you're a slave to the money, then you die. I'll take you down the only road I've ever been down. You know, the one that takes you to the places where all the veins meet. And he goes on, here's the second verse. Well, I've never prayed, but tonight I'm on my knees. Yeah, I need to hear some sounds that recognize the pain in me. I let the melody shine. I cleanse my mind. I feel free now. But the airwaves are clean, and there's nobody singing to me now. And because it's a bittersweet symphony, this life, trying to make ends meet, trying to find somebody, then you die.
Yeah, redeeming quality about it is he feels the Ecclesiastes world.
Yes,
he feels the meaninglessness if you try to invest only in this world.
Yeah,
he gets that.
I think that's a great. I mean, I like this song musically, and I even like listening to it because I love that the guy that wrote this when he wrote this, not a Christian. That he recognizes that emptiness of life. And I think that's something we want our neighbors to recognize.
Right.
We want them to feel the emptiness of this life apart from God.
Life is hopeless without Christ.
Right.
Life is hopeless and empty, and all the things that we invest in are but for a moment and changing in a vapor.
And I just found this out this morning that I can't remember his name, but the lead singer who wrote this song has later become a Christian.
Oh, yeah.
And he has started writing Christian songs. And they're more niche. They're not necessarily for corporate worship or something like that. Huh. But you've got to wonder, was the pondering of the emptiness of life something that rolled around in his mind a lot? I mean, it must have been, because he wrote a song about it.
Yeah, Pascal's void in our hearts that's God shaped, as it were. I mean, it's a paraphrase of Pascal. It does lead us to hunger leads us to want to eat. Thirst leads us to want to drink. That's why Jesus said, "I'm the bread of life. I'm the water from heaven." I think our emptiness ought to lead us to want to find our satisfaction and our resting in God.
Yeah, and if we listen to these songs and if we listen to them discerningly, there are points of connection that can be made with people to say, you know this song, you sing this song. Have you ever thought about the message of what you're singing and how you're saying it's a bittersweet symphony? You know, how you're a slave to the money and then you die. Are you living on a prayer? You know, things like that we can connect with people about. Oh, that's good. So what about, can we listen to this song and enjoy it? I would say yeah. Yeah. We're looking at it through a Christian lens.
That's a live studio audience for all of you.
Right.
Didn't know that. They're all here excited that they can listen to that song.
So we're going to move into the early 2000s.
Boom. I was in Russia for this.
All right. Number 5. This is the band Coldplay and the song Viva la Vida. Yeah. Now Coldplay, I mean, they, again, very creative musically, explicitly not Christian. I mean, they are very secular. They're vocal about being atheist, not having any religion. And some of their songs reflect that, as groovy as they might be at times.
I listened to this song this morning and read through the lyrics, and I thought, I don't really know what it's about. Like, I know that I know the title, what it, the title means, living the life, Viva la Vida, I think, living the life. But I don't know what the song's about. I can't make it out. Can you? Yeah. Anyway,
well,
read some.
I've kind of looked at it a little bit. It's the title, "Living the Life." It is about living life, and I think it's reflecting things like gain and loss, and I think it also has a bit of an Ecclesiastes flair to it. Also, life ultimately has these ups and downs, and just kind of whatever happens, and you really can't do anything about it. So, I used to rule the lyrics go, I used to rule the world, seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning, I sleep alone, sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. 1 minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castles stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand.
So, like, is this about the disenchantment of investing in things that don't last forever?
I think so. I think the vanity of life in this world is something that they are recognizing. Now, what happens amongst secular people, atheist, agnostics, those of a secular worldview, is they say this life is short, get all you can get, live as best as you can now.
YOLO.
Yeah, YOLO. That's all you got. Mm-hmm. You only live once. And the other songs of Coldplay can reflect this at times. So they sing about hey, this is all we got. We got this one life, this one shot. So therefore, enjoy it. And from their perspective, do good, enjoy loving relationships with people, be happy, do what fulfills you, do what makes you,
So
fulfilled.
there's some redeemable, there's some like kernels there that are true, right? Like they capture the idea that this life is brief, that it's fleeting, these kind of things. But really, the emptiness is in the answers, and really that's true about most of these songs that we've. The emptiness comes from the answers,
right?
They identify the problem. Some of them really well. Some of these songs identify the issue, but they don't identify the salvation,
right?
The answer.
Yeah. So this song goes on. Looking down here, I hear. Let's see.
Hear Jerusalem bells are ringing. Roman Calvary choirs are singing. By my mirror,
be my mirror,
be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. Wow.
For some reason I can't explain, I know St. Peter won't call my name. Never an honest word. But that was when I ruled the world. So yeah, I think it's again hitting at the emptiness of life.
Yeah.
And it's, I think that's one thing that's, again, a hook that you can hang your hat on when you're talking with people in the culture, to point out to them the void, to point out to them the emptiness. I like the groove of the song. I like the music, but it's one of those things where when I listen to this song, it's kind of like the song Imagine I Feel Sad.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me feel sad.
Sure.
And I often don't just go listen to it. You know, it's going to be something I hear in the store or something like that. So, can a Christian listen to this song? Yeah, they
Sure.
can. But again, you have to listen to it discerningly. All right, we're coming.
Wait, what about the cheering?
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go.
I feel better now.
Come on, audience, stand up. All right. Gotta love this. Hey, we have one more left. Number 6. All right. This song, I have to admit, I like this song.
I love this song.
This song too.
It gets in my head and it stays there for like 3 days.
All right. It is the song Happy by Pharrell Williams.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Despicable Me 2.
Yeah, from the kids movie. And here we go. I'll just a couple of lyrics here. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
I love this song.
Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space with the air like I don't care, baby, by the way, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth, because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. And he goes on to talk about, bad news. I'm not going to pay attention to it. Everything's going to be fine. Don't waste your time telling me the bad news. I don't want to hear it. And then a lot of it is just repeating the chorus over and over again.
I'm going to tell myself
because
I'm happy.
Yeah. All right.
It makes me happy to listen to it, and I know there's some emptiness there too. I mean, if you're really going to dig in, you're going to see, we're meant to be happy in Christ, and Christ is who makes us truly happy. I'd love to hear John Piper kind of go at this one. I think he'd have some good words, but it's a bomb of positivity, and it's fun.
Well, as Christians, we can affirm happiness.
Yes.
Okay.
God has made us to be happy.
Yeah, He has
in Him.
Okay, chief end of man, glorify God and enjoy Him forever.
Right.
We're going to enjoy God. We're going to be happy and delight in the Lord.
For all of eternity.
Yes.
For all of eternity. Yeah. Now, the problem is, of course, we look for that happiness everywhere. We look for it in all the wrong places. We don't look to God for it. And I'm sure that Pharrell Williams didn't look to God for it, but or isn't. I don't know. I don't know him. But I do know that that this song makes me kind of happy, and that's the other thing. It's this is and again, I'm going to over spiritualize this, but it's a transcendent happiness because he's talking about like circumstances turning south, and I'm not going to pay attention to them.
Yeah,
now our transcendent happiness is different,
right?
Because our transcendent happiness is I will rejoice in the Lord always because the Lord is near. Right? That's Philippians. Therefore, so the heart of my joy, and I'm not making a differentiation between happiness and joy, is in Christ and His nearness to me. And so in suffering, we can still be joyful in the Lord.
Yeah. And I think that's, it's fine. There's nothing vulgar. There's nothing offensive nor profane in the song at all.
And strikes at a nerve. We want to be happy.
We do want to be happy. And people do want to be happy, do they not?
They do.
And they need a transcendent happiness that is not just ignoring their circumstances. It is seeing God's hand sustaining them through their circumstances.
Yes, well said.
Yeah.
Good word.
Yeah. And so that is our list. That's our list today. Now, I have to say, I told someone yesterday what we were going to do for the podcast topic, and they said, "Oh, you've got to evaluate a Taylor Swift song."
I feel like it's helpful to talk about Taylor Swift because that's what a lot of young people are listening to. Like she's massively popular. She came to Denver a year ago, and it was just huge, bigger than if you had the Super Bowl there. I think. It was just really big.
The problem that I ran into when I tried to find some lyrics to look at is, at least in her most recent stuff in the last couple of years, it's all suggestive.
Yeah, if you look at her earlier stuff, we could sit here and evaluate it and go through "You're Mean." All you're ever going to be is mean. I mean, we could go through those kind of songs. And that era of her life, she wasn't writing very profane things.
Yeah.
But her more recent thing, I think there's a horrible song. Don't look it up friends who are listening.
Yeah,
but
don't.
Guilty of Sin, very suggestive, it's a horrible song.
Yeah.
And it also co-opts a lot of religious language and kind of gets very cynical about God and about life, and it's profane, and it speaks about it celebrating immoral things, and then there's just a lot of profanity in her songs these days.
Yeah, and that's sadly the case. There are a lot of artists out there that I think we should probably just by and large avoid because of the content of their songs. They're vulgar, they're profane, they're suggestive.
It makes me sad, though. It makes me sad because we're seeing a trajectory of a young woman who is feeling the emptiness as she moves along. You know, she has everything. Yeah. She has everything, and she has nothing. And it just breaks my heart to see.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question here, and this is not in the script, but I'm curious to know if you'll guess it correctly. The number one theme of all the songs written basically in the last century. What would you say?
Love.
There you go. It is love. And of course, love from different emphases going on there.
A lot of Taylor Swift songs are about love too.
Yeah.
But again, man, she's not getting it, you know. And it's and then one last word on Taylor Swift. Her most recent album is, you see the cynicism against God there. Now, I've not listened to it all. Today I Googled some lyrics from it just to see. Some of my family, my daughter has mentioned a few of the songs and how terrible they are, and man, she's just cynical, you know, and so it makes you just want to pray for her that she might find Christ.
Yeah. So this has been fun. It's been fun.
Can you listen to Taylor Swift? Can a Christian listen to Taylor Swift?
Can a Christian listen to Taylor Swift? I mean, it's ontologically possible.
Nice. Good answer.
Like you say, the older stuff. You know, there's some redeeming qualities in some of those songs that we could look at, but her latest trajectory, I just don't think is a healthy one.
Can you listen to it and still be edified in the Lord, still think on things that are pure and just and righteous and things of virtue? And I think you'd have a struggle listening to her recent things.
Especially the recent stuff, I think you'd have a very hard time doing that. In anything that's going to be just horribly profane or there's so many songs out there. There's so many good songs you can listen to. You have a lot of variety. And for me, my steady diet of music is going to be, I predominantly listen to Christian music. I'll just say that. I'm listening to Sovereign Grace, the Gettys. I'm listening to City of Light. I'm listening to, Matt Boswell and
Skillet.
Tripoli, Lecrae, guys like that. That I can be edified by, but there are a plethora of other songs out there that I do enjoy, and I like to listen to. I love music of all different styles, and can find appreciation and beauty and joy in all of those things. Just like someone can go to the Louvre in France and look at the Mona Lisa. I mean, it was not painted by a Christian. It was not painted for Christian reasons, but you can appreciate the art and the beauty of it and the redeeming qualities of it. So. Yeah.
Amen. I agree. Yeah. With that.
So,
good words.
Anything else you want to add to that? How should we think about pop music, culture, all of those things like that?
Yeah, just ask the question. How is what I'm listening to edifying to me, to my soul? Does it point me to God? Does it point me away from God? Does it take away my hope? Does it hit at my hope or whatever? Those kind of things. I think those are good diagnostic questions as you think about what you
can. I listen discerningly. Listen discerningly is the key there. Well, great conversation today. We do have one question we want to get to. This one comes to us from Anna. She says, "How is one chosen by God, and can you be unchosen?"
Well, I love that. The how question is very difficult to answer, how we are chosen. I mean, you could talk about different aspects of that choosing, there's language in the Bible about being chosen before the foundation of the world and those kind of things, chosen in love. I would say the best way to answer the how is we are chosen, or maybe this is more because we are chosen by reasons in God, to be shown grace. And so I'll just read Ephesians 1 here. It says, Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed. Is this a Christian song you're playing?
No.
Okay, I just checking. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us in Christ with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places, even as he chose us, here's how, in him, before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and blameless before him. In love he predestined us for adoption to himself as sons through Jesus Christ, according to the purpose of his will. So how, you can get a lot of answers for that there, according to his will, in love, before the foundation of the world, for reasons in himself. You can discern those two. So I don't know if you want, what would you add to that?
No, I think you're hitting all of it right there. That's why he chose us, for reasons in himself, for his own glory. And so how he chose us or why he chose us is ultimately a mystery.
Right.
You know, why he chose me, why he chose you.
Because he's gracious.
Right. To the question, can you be unchosen? No, you can't.
No. As sure as God is unchanging, his choice is unchanging of you.
Yeah, you don't become unchosen. Yeah. Good question, Anna. We appreciate that today. This has been a fun episode.
Yeah,
and it's was a little something a little bit different. I think every night we did the one with the AI questions a couple episodes back. Maybe we should do something like that again at some point, but just taking a time today. But it's an important thing, discernment in what we listen to.
This music was written by a Christian.
It was written by a Christian, and it was written explicitly to edify the saints through accompanying our podcast.
It was written by Thomas Lawson, Pastor Thomas Lawson.
So yeah, well, thanks for being with us today. Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on our to our podcast. You can go to YouTube. You can go to faithsf.com/soundinfaith. Submit a question. Follow us on Instagram. All the places on the internets. For the Sound in Faith podcast, this is Pastor Thomas.
And this is Pastor Mike.
And Lord willing, we will see you Sunday.